Hello and welcome to Flying Bobbins. I'm Liz and today I'm going to show you how to make this travel wallet. So this is a new design that I've just come up with last month. I'm off on my holidays in a couple of weeks and I always carry everything with me. So my passports, my insurance cards, tickets, car hire documents, everything like that. And normally I keep them in a plastic file. So I thought I would use this beautiful fabric to make a travel document wallet, and that's what I'm going to talk you through how to make in this tutorial. So if I open that up, you will see that inside your wallet you have a key fob there to keep your key on, so that when you get back home you're not scrabbling around to get in. You get some passport pockets here, some additional pockets here. I put my car hire documents in there maybe. You've got a lovely zip pocket over on the other side for keeping anything precious safe. You could pop your phone or your coins in there maybe. Some credit card slots here. I've got my eHICS insurance travel card in there. A little space which I've put my masks in, but you could use that for notes, parking tickets, anything you want really, anything that you need for your travels to keep everything nice and safe. And that all does up with a little popper there. And it's really fun to make, and you can have fun playing with different fabric and binding combinations too. So for this you're going to need some quilter's cotton, some binding, a zip, a popper, a little lobster clip there as well, some ribbon for your zip pull, as well as some Decovil to stiffen it, and some interfacing too. So if you want to sew along with me, I do sell a kit for this project, and in that box you get absolutely everything you need, including all the trims, the binding, the thread, etc., as well as the pattern and printed instructions. That comes in a choice of 3 colours, and I shall pop a link below. So let's crack on and I will show you how to make your travel wallet. Here's my finished travel wallet that I've just finished showing you. Let's take a look at everything you need to make it. So inside your Flying Bobbins kit, you will of course get your paper pattern and your instructions, and then the supplies that you're going to need are a 25 to 30 centimetre long zip, 40 centimetres of fabric for the outside of your wallet, ½ metre of fabric for the inside of your wallet, some everyday medium weight interfacing, some Decovil, and I'm using the Decovil standard, not the Decovil light that I use in the Christmas crackers, so that's a slightly stiffer Decovil. A small piece of fusible fleece for the tab with the popper on it, some binding to go around the edge, a lobster clip, a snap, a little bit of ribbon for your zip pull, and some thread. And the thread I'm using matches the colour of the binding because I think that's where the stitches really show up the most. First things first, take your pattern, unfold it, and you want to cut out all of your pieces here. Once you've cut those out, then we'll cut out your fabric and interfacing. Now you'll see that I've actually given the dimensions for all of the pockets on these panels, so you can either cut out your paper, place that on your fabric and use that to cut out your pattern, or you can go with the dimensions and simply cut out by measuring. That is up to you. So I will start by just cutting out all of my pattern pieces. And that's everything cut out. So you will see that at the bottom of your pattern you have a diagram there to help you see which piece goes where, and also a checklist of all the pieces you need. And then separately there is a supplies list, so if you're getting the supplies for this project you can take that shopping with you. Let's go through the pattern pieces. So piece A is the main panel, and you're going to cut 1 main fabric, 1 lining and 1 interfacing. Then piece B is your Decovil panel that will just sit here and here to reinforce your fabric. Then you have C, which folds in half and sits here to create your passport pockets, and you cut 2 of those in the lining fabric. Piece D is the interfacing for that passport pocket. Piece E sits behind the passport pocket, so once again that folds in half and sits just behind there. You don't have interfacing for that because I don't put interfacing on all the pockets, it makes it a bit too bulky. Then you have your key fob tab, so that folds in half and sits in the middle there with your lobster clip on it. Your snap tab, that comes round with the popper on it to close your wallet. And on the other side you have a zip pocket panel there, you cut 2 of those, and then you have your card panel and the card panel interfacing, and behind that sits an additional pocket that you can put documents or notes in. And then lastly, where your zip sits, you just want a little bit of fabric at either end of your zip. So let's go ahead and cut those out of the fabric now. I'm using a quilter's cotton, which is about 110, 112 centimetres wide, and I've got a 40 centimetre piece of that, and you can see that that's the 40 centimetres there by the 110 this way, so the full width of the fabric. Now my print has a design on it that runs this way. I could choose to cut my pattern pieces either way round, so I could have my wallet so that my sunglasses are sitting sort of in a portrait direction, or I could have them going across. I think I prefer going across. So this is my fold where my wallet folds in half. So if I were to fold that in half, my sunglasses would sit across like this. And I prefer that. I think it looks nicer in a landscape orientation. So I'm going to cut my pattern piece out this way. Whichever way you choose, if you do have a directional print, just think about placing your print and think about making sure that all your pieces are cut in the same direction. So as well as my main panel piece, I want to cut out 2 card pockets in the main fabric and also 2 passport pockets. So what I want to do is, I only want one of these, so I'll cut one of these out, and then I can fold my fabric over and cut 2 and 2, and then I've got plenty of extra fabric to cut out one of my my snap tab, so that's the bit that folds round to close the wallet, and I can sort of cut that in the same direction as this, so that it sits with the sunglasses going this way. And then last but not least, you've just got to cut 2 of these tiny little zip ends. So this is just where the zip ends, you just want this to sit at the end of the zip there to make it look neat. So you won't hardly see any of the pattern on that. So just cut out 2 of those as well. So you want 1 piece A, 2 piece I, 2 piece C, 1 piece G and 2 piece of L, and you can either cut that out by pinning those pieces in place and then cutting out with scissors, or you can take the dimensions and cut it out by measuring. They're all rectangles at the end of the day, so it's quite easy to do that, but that's what you want to first of all cut out from your main fabric. I've just placed my piece nice and central to the print as well, and lined up my pattern piece with the sunglasses so that they run in a nice straight line. And I'm not going to worry just yet about these curved off corners. I can cut those out later. So that's piece A, and then when I fold that in half, you can see that that's how my finished wallet will look with all the sunglasses running this way, and I think that looks really, really nice. So I've cut out my main panel. I'm now going to cut out my passport pockets and my card pockets, and you might want to just think again about the print placement. So I've got to think with this print about the glasses going this way and also going in lines up here. So even though I'm cutting out 2 of each, I might just want to cut these out individually. And if I fold this back, I can make sure that my fold sits on the pink area so that when that pocket folds over, I'm not cutting a pair of sunglasses in half. And then I also might want to think about the edge of my pattern piece there sitting so that the sunglasses sit centrally. And then when I cut out my second pocket, I'll probably want to line it up here and do the same so that the glasses line up this way as well. And then that also marries back to the positioning on the outside. So it's just these little details if you are cutting out a print like this, as opposed to an all-over print. So with my first one here, I really didn't have to think too much about the direction. I just made sure that I had this lovely fish here. You know, I didn't have to worry too much about how I cut it out. I just made the most of the print. But obviously with these sunglasses, there is a little bit of engineering involved if you want to get it looking really sharp. So just think about when you're cutting out, getting everything going in the right direction. So I'm going to cut this along here. And in fact, rather than pinning and cutting for this one, I'll just demonstrate how I would cut out just by measuring. So this is 29 centimetres wide, this pocket, so I can just measure out 29. So if I use my my ruler, I can measure out 29 and cut a line along here, or I can just hold this in place here. All the way along. And then that's 29 by 19, so I'll just cut off a nice square at the bottom there. Check how that looks where the fold is, or I might want to go up a little bit actually, so that the fold is in the pink area. I want to be like there really, don't I? Okay, so and then I want to repeat. So I now have two pockets which will fold in half like this. And because I've cut them one above the other, you can see that my sunglasses are now nicely lined up. And it just looks that little bit better, because, and that was just because I cut, well, I'll do the same on the card pocket now. Whoops. And that was just because I cut one like this and then one like this, so I know that these lines here will be in a nice straight line. And like I say, this is only particular to this print. This doesn't matter if you're using an all-over print. Okay, so let's just do this one here. So cut a nice long strip along here. I'm using the grid on my cutting mat as well. The noises in the background, if you can hear them, you know who that is. That's my kittens playing with something. What have you got there? A mouse. Not a real mouse, a toy mouse. If it was a real mouse, I probably would not be filming, and I'll probably be rescuing the mouse. There we go. So this one can come here. And you can pin and use scissors as well if you don't have a mat or a rotary cutter. But it's all about taking time with the cutting out, because if you get everything really nice and square, then everything will just kind of come together nicely later. So that's my first card pocket. You can see that those nicely line up there as well. So it's just taking a little bit of time to think about how you want your pockets to sit, and just laying everything out before you cut it out. I need to cut two of these. These just measure 4 by 8, so I will just use my ruler to cut these out. So I cut a nice 4 cm strip there, and this is going to be folded up so small that you really won't see any of it much. So I'm not going to be too fussed about pattern here. So next I want to cut out this tab, and if I think about it, there's my fabric piece, so that is going to end up looking like that, and I have to ask myself, do I want my tab to be cut sort of like that way, so that the glasses are the opposite way round, so the tab wraps around like that, or do I want it to be cut out that way so that they go like that? Oh, that matches. Now we don't have to worry so much, it's only a travel document wallet, so let's not worry too much about pattern matching, but I think it probably looks better if it is all running in the same direction, especially considering we've got binding going on as well. So if I want it all running in the same direction, then I'm going to cut this tab out of these. Okay, now I could sort of try and pattern match, but I don't exactly know where it's going to sit, so I don't think I'm going to worry about that too much right now. I think I'm just going to cut it so that it's sort of got sunglasses sitting in the middle there, and I'll just cut that little tab out like this. I'll come back to do those rounded off corners later. For now I'm just going to cut it off square. A couple of scraps there, but I will now move on to cutting out the line. So it probably is worth, just for your own sanity, marking the pieces. So I know this is piece A, which is the main piece, because there are so many pieces with this project. If you mark out the letters, it will save confusion later on. Onto the lining. So I have just folded my lining up to here in half, because pieces H and K need 2 of each. That's a zip pocket and the document pocket. And then for the main panel, the document pocket over there, the key fob and the snap tab, I only need 1, so I'll just cut those on the single. So I've only folded the fabric up to here just so that I'm cutting out 2 at a time. And the lining fabric is just either a pin spot or a plain fabric in the case of the kits that I've produced. So for this you don't have to worry about pattern matching, so I'm just going to pin that down, cut it out, and then that's my lining done. So next we're going to do the interfacing. So I've got my 30cm wide piece of interfacing here, and I've just folded over the end, and we want to cut out 2 piece Ds and 2 piece Js. Those are the interfacing for the passport and the card pockets to give them a bit more stability. And then you're going to cut out 1 piece A. So that's your interfacing. So last but not least, you've got your snap tab, and this is pre-cut, so you don't have to cut anything out there. We'll work out these curved corners later on. Likewise with your Decoville, these pieces come pre-cut. You just need to trace on those curved corners and just curve that out. Now if you don't want to have curved corners, of course, on your document wallet, then you don't have to. You can keep them square, but I think it looks nice with curves, and it's quite nice to do the binding on a curve as opposed to having to do a mitered corner. So once you've done that, then that finally is everything cut out. What a lot of pieces. So finally that's everything cut out. Let's just go through our checklist. Piece A, which is the main piece, you're going to want 1 in your main fabric, 1 in your lining fabric, and 1 in interfacing. Piece B, which is your Decoville or similar, you're going to want 2 of those. Piece C, which is your passport pockets, you're going to want 2 of those. Piece D, your passport pocket interfacing, 2 of those in interfacing. Piece E, which is your document wallet pocket, you want 1 of those in lining. F, which is your key fob tab, 1 of those in lining. G, which is the snap tab, you want 1 in fabric, 1 in lining, and 1 in a fusible fleece or similar. Piece H, which is your zipped pocket, you're going to want 2 pieces for that in lining. Piece I, which is your card pocket, you're going to want 2 in the main fabric of those. And J, which is the interfacing, which goes with those, 2 in interfacing. K, which is your pocket, you're going to want 2 of those in lining. And last but not least, L, which is just going to sit at either side of your zip, you want 2 of those in your main fabric. So now that's all cut out, we're ready to start, and what we're going to do first is interface everything.